Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 78 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Gage, and I'm here with Dan Briggs, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a good week. It feels like it's been a while since we've done one of these, but it's been exactly 1 week. I don't know why it feels that way. For anyone new here, we do these live streams every single week. We're the founders of StreamYard, and we do these to make sure we're answering your questions and staying in tune with you guys, going through the same process you do when you go live. And every Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific is when we do them. And we always make sure to remind you all of the three pillars, which are ease of use, stability, and professional streams. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is the tool for you. Let's see who we have here in the chat. Thanks everyone for hanging out with us. It's nice to have you join us on Sunday evenings. One thing I wanted to, I guess, first topic before I do a couple reminders is it's been a while since we asked this question. It used to be that I had a pretty good sense of everyone that was tuning in. I knew most of their channels, but now there's so many new people that a lot of you, I don't actually know what your channels are about or what you stream about. So I'm curious what you guys, what your content is about. And then as always, we have StreamYard Connect with Ross Brand Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern every single Wednesday. It's a great show where Ross covers the latest stuff going on in the live streaming world and has some exciting guests to give you good tips. We also have Dana and Kelsey going live on Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern to do the StreamYard Spotlight where they interview you. So if you're interested in being interviewed, reach out to Dana. They have a form to fill out. And yeah, they can spotlight you and you can talk about what you're streaming about and share it with the rest of the StreamYard community. Let's see what we have here. Pete hosts a Beverly Hills 90210 podcast. Right on.
Cool. Tom
does pulp culture and video games. One cool thing about our community that I like so much is the variety of stuff. Like there's just so many different streams. It's cool to see what people stream about. Like the cybersecurity librarian streams about cybersecurity professional issues. Very cool.
Yeah, just the first three. Like you compare those first three, the differences.
It's quite different. Michael streams about tech and does a live game show. I do remember you, Michael, but yeah, Michael has an awesome show. I think we had a couple questions early on. Just want to make sure I don't miss them. One person I know was asking about screen sharing on iOS, if we have a date for that. We don't at the moment. Right now there isn't a screen sharing feature. I would be curious if you are using the screen sharing feature. I'm curious what you're using it for. Like, is it to share like slides or something on the device, or just like what you're doing on the device in general, maybe showing yourself using social media on the device, or like a mobile game? I'm curious how you plan on using it.
Yeah, because one common thing actually we do see people do, instead of like screen sharing on their mobile device, they'll just be on their computer streaming, and then they'll use a program to kind of bring in like a screen share of their device. I don't know if that applies for you, but it's definitely a nice way to do it.
And yeah, one alternative is if you do have multiple devices, like if you're going live from a laptop or a desktop, yeah, you can mirror that device. And if you use the phone as a to demo and then share the phone. What else do we have here? Rapper J says, can you add a way to age restrict a live stream? At some point, we should add. I think YouTube has done a few updates as far as what we're able to control on StreamYard side as far as options. So we likely can add that for you at some point. Jay, I think another one that comes up quite a bit is like the ability to set whether or not you want the video monetized as far as like the if it's the Compass stuff. So we should add a few more options there. Of course, you can set it on YouTube itself.
Yeah.
A couple other things to note that you may have missed is we released 10 participants for the basic and professional users. So if you're on the basic or pro plan, you can now have up to 10 people in your streams, which is quite a crowd, but it's something people have wanted for a really long time. So we were excited to release it. I actually saw a few streams hit the old 10 number, so it was cool to see that many people on live at once. Most of them were on Twitch. Actually, it was the Twitch talk shows section where I saw a few. I was just perusing through the Twitch talk shows section. I saw a few people using StreamYard with all 10. I thought that was pretty cool.
Sweet.
And then the week before that, of course, we released mobile hosting. So it used to be that you could work around it by doing the desktop mode on your device, but now we officially support it, and the layout's nice and supported. So you can actually go live from your iOS devices like iPads and iPhones, or your Android device directly from StreamYard, and you still get all the great features like being able to bring in guests, multi-stream, all that cool stuff. So yeah, if you guys have tried any of those new features that we've added recently, we'd be curious to hear how you're using it and how it went. One update we wanted to note is there has been an issue in the past related to Safari and iOS devices as far as being able to connect to the audio stream of every single person in the feed. It's now fixed in the very latest version of Safari. Unfortunately, it's not fixed in the older versions, but we have come up with a bit of a workaround for people that run into it, where you can basically click on them and reconnect to their audio feed. So if you have a guest on iOS that can't hear a person, they can just click them and it will reconnect to them. It's not the greatest solution, but if they update, it will be entirely fixed. Anything I missed there, Dan?
Yeah, so I know a few people have run into it, and we've definitely talked about it before. It is like it's an issue with Safari, right? We've been trying to get around it for a long time, and basically, and I guess one thing I should emphasize: when you say newest version, it's still beta.
Right.
So like right now, if they just upgrade their phone, they won't actually get it. You have to be on like the beta version. But soon, probably a couple of weeks, I would think, the newest version that most people can get will have that fixed. So this is like the issue where maybe you've got 3 guests or something, and one of them can't hear one of the others. Like everyone can hear everyone else, but like one person can't hear one other person, and the one who's having issues is on an iPhone or an iPad. That issue is what we're talking about. So it is pretty rare, but if you have a lot of guests, you may have run into it. And the solution in the past has always been like maybe removing someone and re-adding them, or asking the person with issues to refresh the page, which is obviously not perfect. So now at least the person who's running into it, so say I couldn't hear Gage and I'm on an iPhone, I can like tap on his video and it just, there's a way to like get to fix it without having to refresh the page. So the person who's having issues can click on somebody or tap on somebody and resolve it. So we know it's not perfect, but it is fixed in the newest Safari. And at least now there's like a solution that doesn't require refreshing the page
for the meantime. Yeah.
Other ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not perfect, right? But it is a limitation of Safari. So we want to get something that isn't refreshing the page.
Yeah. And the nice thing, it will be, eventually everyone will be on the very latest version of Safari, and then you won't have to worry about it at all, essentially, which will be nice. Lots of questions here. What else do we have here? Charleston's thinking of doing crossover with other radio stations in Hawaii. Very cool. Sounds like Beauty Bubble's enjoying the SY10. Very cool. A couple questions about Instagram. No updates there. Like we mentioned before, Instagram doesn't officially support applications going through them. They don't have an official API. If that changes, we will certainly support it. Fitri would be using the screen share to share PowerPoint slides on mobile. Interesting. I think that was the follow-up. I'm not 100% sure.
Interesting.
Alina says, what internet speed is optimal for using StreamYard? You don't actually need that fast of a connection, Alina. It's much more important to have a stable connection. So being close to your router, and even better yet, being plugged directly into it will give you the best shot at having a great experience. But to answer your question, it's about like a few megabytes per second up and down should be enough, unless if you have a ton of guests, it's going to be a bit more demanding. But as long as you're the only one on the connection, like the only one using it at the time you're live streaming, you only need a few up and down, and you should be good to go.
Megabits. You really only need a few megabits.
Megabits.
Yeah, it's always confusing.
I always mix those up. Chris says, here's the weekly 1080 request. Yes, that's a common request, and it is in our plans. I'd be curious, for those of you who want 1080, how many of you actually have access on Facebook to 1080p streaming? Because a lot of people want 1080, but you can't actually stream in 1080 on Facebook for the typical user in most cases. So I'd be curious how many of you actually have access to 1080.
Yeah. So like YouTube allows it, as far as I know, for everyone. Twitch, do you know, Gage, probably for everyone, or do you need to? Twitch
has it. At least the last time I used Twitch, they had it for everyone. I know they got a bit more stingy over the years, so I'm not 100% sure, but I think they have it.
But then that's pretty much it, right? Like Facebook, Facebook has to give you access to 1080.
Yeah.
And Periscope doesn't have it. Oh, actually, sorry, LinkedIn has 1080.
Yeah, LinkedIn has 1080.
Yeah. So if you have LinkedIn Live access, that is a nice one.
Hey, Carla, nice to see you here. Yeah, if you have any questions, let us know. We'd be happy to to do our best. Diego streams, does a live podcast of software development. Very cool, Diego.
Sweet.
David Burrows does a weekly community show. He's also been given permission to rebroadcast the premiere of Ontario. Awesome.
Cool.
Ross is saying for the next StreamYard Connect, they're talking about live streaming music. Awesome. That's been a big one recently, especially with everyone being stuck at home and unable to do concerts. We've been seeing lots of musicians live streaming, which has been fun.
Yeah.
I actually saw Post Malone, for people out there who knows who he is, we saw Post Malone as a guest on a broadcast. That's pretty cool.
Right on.
David does indie and pro wrestling. I'm loving the variety of subjects. It's awesome. I'm gonna have to check out some of these after the show's over. Craig says my wife at Liz King Events just hosted a 2-hour-a-day conference for 2 weeks using StreamYard. Fantastic.
Cool.
Ken says, would you consider expanding the overlay time limit? That would be a game changer. Also allowing more characters for banners. Yes, we do plan on. I don't know about adjusting the overlay feature specifically, but we do plan on adding more media sharing options that would allow you to basically share a video of any length that you had on your hard drive. So that would be a way to get around it. It's not out quite yet, but it is in our plans, Ken. As far as more characters for banners, I don't recall what the limit is right now. If it is a problem for people, we'd certainly consider it. Would you say, Dan?
I think it's 200.
200?
You could check really quick.
Oh yeah, we do have it in the tooltip, don't we? Yeah, 200.
Start typing, yeah.
So it's 200 right now. I'd be curious, Ken, like how many you actually want. There is obviously the issue of if it's too big, you're going to cover the entire screen, which is no good. But yeah, let us know what the ideal character limit would be.
And I'm also curious for videos, like what types of videos, like the videos you want to share, the longer ones. What are they? Like what kind of videos? And then how much longer do you need? Like are you streaming an entire video, like an hour-long video, or is it just like you want to play an 8-minute clip or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. We got two cybersecurity channels. That's pretty cool. Another cybersecurity show. Loves the intuitiveness. Great to hear.
It's an important topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now that everyone's online, right? There's probably quite a few people that are going online for maybe the first. That'd be kind of crazy if it's for the first time ever, or at least having a presence that they didn't really have before.
Yeah, and like with Zoom having some security issues, it's like kind of pretty in people's minds at the moment. So
yeah. Katrine says ability to move around and sort the overlays. That is in our plans, Katrine, to eventually have that. We did have the labels relatively recently, which I know was a popular request, just because, which I do get. People would upload them and then not be able to tell which one was which is not a great experience. So you can at least label them now, but we will add the ability to move them around. That's another one. I don't know if Dave's watching tonight, but Dave always brings up the request of moving the guest positions as well. That's also in our plans, so to be able to move Dan into my spot and vice versa. Alexander says, any chances of making videos available for basic? Maybe you mean free, Alexander. So in the basic plan, you can upload overlay videos. In the free version, you can screen share. So you can screen share videos as an alternative. You never know. We might adjust the plans at some point. I can't promise you anything, but yeah, no promises. As an alternative, you can use the screen share feature though. Matt does a weekly show about the world of premium cigars. Cool. Very cool.
No, that is something I know nothing about. That is very cool.
Yeah, I don't know too much about that either. Daniel Escobar, hi from Colombia, South America. Nice to see you here, Daniel. Daniel says, love podcasts at specialchronicles.com, giving a voice to people with special needs. Fantastic.
Cool.
Before I forget, let me just cover a couple of these last topics. One of those was hotkey questions. So surprisingly, it hasn't come up in town halls recently, but it's definitely a popular request, especially in the community group, is a hotkeys feature. So one thing we wanted to ask you guys is, there's some things that are fairly obvious as far as what you'd want to be able to have a hotkey selection for, but just to make sure maybe we're underthinking it and there's certain ones we've missed. We're curious. So obviously, I assume the layouts you guys will want to have hotkeys for, the ability to cycle through the banners, possibly the ability to cycle through the comments, the ability to full screen individual guests like Dan here. So yeah, just let us know. Let us know which ones, maybe ones we wouldn't be thinking of that you'd like to have hotkeys for.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some things that aren't necessarily obvious. Like even so one example would be maybe you don't need a hotkey to like put a comment on screen, but you'd like one to remove a comment, or even just like hotkeys to switch between like the tabs on the right side, like B for banners or C for I mean, who knows how it would work, but
you'd probably be able to set them to what you want. But yeah,
you can change stuff.
Yes, Michael. Michael's probably been asking for hotkeys for a year, so he'll be excited for that one. John does paranormal talk shows and remote investigations now that mobile's available. Fantastic. Yeah, that's a more common one that I see quite a bit is people doing paranormal live streams, which are certainly fun ones to watch.
Sweet.
Daniel did more than 60 streams on StreamYard last month. Works great. Thanks. That's a lot of live streams. That's cool. Congrats. I'm curious. Maybe you probably already mentioned it, Daniel, but I'll look after. I'm curious what you stream about to stream that often. That's a lot of live streams. Lots of people excited for the hotkeys. I'm not seeing too many suggestions yet. The eCafe is loving using the iPad version of StreamYard. Fantastic.
Cool.
Kevin says hotkeys, set them for particular overlays, toggle on and off. Right on.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So actually being able to say like, okay, I have this video and I want to bind that to like key 7. So when I press that, it plays the intro. Like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
John says being able to pin comments is still a big ask. Yes, that comes up a lot. That one's a fairly easy one to add. So we likely will add that at some point, John. And Michael is agreeing there. Trying to find some of these hotkey suggestions. Jamie says, how can I get people to stop calling my show a podcast? My eye twitches a lot. Yeah, everyone seems to call everything podcast. They even sometimes say video podcast. It doesn't cause my eye to twitch, but I promise you I won't call your show a podcast, Jamie.
That's good.
Tristan said we already got hotkeys working on our end. StreamYard did some testing. Cool. I'd imagine it required quite a bit of work to do it on your own, but yes, I can imagine it's possible. So that's actually a good. That actually makes it interesting to talk to you, Tristan. So I'd be curious, like, since you actually did the work to to do it yourself, what did you actually bother hotkeying? Because that's probably that'll be interesting to know because you actually went to the effort of doing it. Joe says a co-producer would be a great option. Absolutely, that one comes up quite frequently. There is a workaround, Joe. If you have your co-host logged into the same account as you, you obviously want to make sure you trust the person, but you can just let them know your login code, and then you'll both have hosting controls. At some point, we will make it a more formal feature. Adrian says hotkeys mute any user. That's a good one.
Cool. Or maybe mute all.
Mute all, I could definitely see, especially if you've got one of those 10-person streams. It'd be a good one to have.
Yeah, I'm just seeing like, Gage has got some background noise and need to mute him quickly. And, which one's Gage? Is he 6 or 7? Or might be either just like N. Everyone's muted.
Fablin's tuning in from Singapore. Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Lauren says she'd use the space bar, I think, for scrolling through the comments.
Cool.
The real housewife is asking for single person backgrounds. So yes, that does create some confusion. Like, so obviously you can see the backgrounds when you have a guest like Dan and I here, but if you're just a single person on screen, they'll show up behind you. We've considered changing it. There's a few different reasons why we haven't changed it yet, but as an alternative, at some point we might. As an alternative, you can just use the overlay functionality. So basically, instead of a background, just add a border around yourself, and it will essentially accomplish the same thing. But I do understand the desire to just have it simple. Javier has a question. Sure, let us know your question. Someone from LinkedIn's asking to have the ability to stop videos playing. So I'm guessing you mean the ability to maybe scrub through your overlay video, so pause and play it. So we won't make that addition to overlay videos, but as we add more media sharing options, we likely will have the ability for you to stop a video and play the video. Hey, Russ, absolutely. Thanks for tuning in. Rich says, it would be great to share audio from my iMusic library on my iMac. Music sharing is definitely a common request. The whole copyright thing is certainly problematic. So that's a tough one to work around. One thing we have considered is adding sort of a royalty-free library for people to use. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion. One way to do it now, Rich, would be to use something like Loopback or Voicemeeter on PC to basically have a virtual audio source, and that would allow you to do that.
And it sounds like Ross is going to be going deep on that topic this week. Yeah,
absolutely. Indira says, how can I add subtitles on my StreamYard live show like you guys have now? So you probably already do, Indira. You might not know it, but I'm guessing you're seeing Facebook's live captions. So they just started turning that on for people. I usually have the opposite, but it's usually people making the opposite request about how to turn them off, but they must be working relatively well if you want them on your own show. But if you do a live stream, they should automatically be on. And if they're not, you can go into the settings for your video and turn them on. It comes from Facebook, not StreamYard. Sean says, any way to increase the size of our logo in the upper right corner? So there is a maximum size for the logo feature, but if you want to get around it, you can always just use the overlay option. So the way you would do that is just upload an overlay and on a transparent background, and that allows you to place things wherever you want on that overlay. So instead of having it like this, you'd place it in the top right and make the image as large as you want. Jerome also looking for pause play on the overlay videos. Bhaskar has been using, hopefully I'm sure I'm butchering a lot of these names, so I apologize if I'm saying your name incorrectly. But Bhaskar is loving it. SY started using it for the last 3 months in India. Very cool. Doug says, can you please provide an update on the super chat improvement, leaving them accessible until the end of the stream? That has come up a few times, Doug, and it's on our agenda. I do understand wanting to be able to highlight every person that donates. It's obviously important during the stream, so it is unfortunate if you miss them. So at some point, we'll likely make it easier for you to hold on to those live chats.
Yeah, we haven't designed anything yet, Doug. Hoping to get to. We've been hammering out some of like the big requests, and then hopefully we can get into some of these smaller ones that less people ask for, but are equally as important, obviously, for those people. Yes.
Joe Dogg's also a fan of sound effects. MD Abul Azad says, hello, Mr. CEO of StreamYard. Do you have any future plans to develop a tailor-made version for the least developing countries? If you have any, the Center for Policy Research Bangladesh can add value to develop some kind of plans for the LDCs. I don't have any plans now, mostly just because I'm not super familiar with the subject. But if you shoot us an email, contact@streamyard.com, maybe we can discuss it further. Ricardo says, what about stream in 1080? That came up a bit earlier. Ricardo, it is in our plans. One question we had was how many of you actually had access to 1080 on Facebook? I'm curious, the people that want it, are you actually able to use it on Facebook?
Or maybe you're not planning to go to Facebook at all, in which case let us know that.
Yeah. Thank you, Tristan, for that. And I mapped it out nicely for us. Add, remove guests, choose layouts, display, hide overlays, banners, and mute all guests. Weren't too far off.
Cool.
Paul says it's been an amazing 3 weeks with all the updates. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's always exciting to have updates, and we actually have some other really big things coming soon. So obviously, one break this week because we had 2 weeks with big features, but there's more awesome stuff on the way. So make sure you tune in next week. Lots of people asking for the pause and resume ability. So like I briefly mentioned, Oscar, we will be adding more media sharing options to share those longer videos and whatnot, and that will have the pause and play ability. Jerome broadcasts twice a day, mass and conferences to 5 platforms live. Love StreamYard. Cool. Thanks, Jerome. Indira says, has StreamYard added more numbers of people to be on the stream screen? If so, when it is functional? Yes, it's functional now. So if you're on the basic or pro plan, Indira, you can have up to 10 people on screen at once. One thing that after adding that has come up a lot is the queue size. Lots of people were hoping that now that there's 10 on screen, maybe the queue would be bigger. But right now it is still 10. But at some point we'll likely, actually that's a good question for tonight that I'd be curious how well this would work for some of you. So we have thought a bit about for people that do have these shows, like sometimes it's like a summit or something where it goes on for a long period of time and there's a lot of guests that might be in the queue waiting to come on. So we're considering just increasing the size of the queue in general, but another thought is to have sort of, it's a very early on idea, so don't hold me to anything, but we're considering having sort of like an overflow room. So instead, I don't know how many of you have actually experienced it, but if you try to join a stream that already has 10 people, it's not a great experience. It basically just says the room's full. So I know that's been a problem for some people because their guests are, oh, it's full. And it's sort of, it's a bit alarming to them because they're supposed to be in the show and it's full and they don't know what to do. So we're considering having something where instead of it saying that, they just get added essentially to this overflow queue. So there's no video or anything, but they can see the chat. And then the host would have the ability to see like, okay, I've got this extra group of people waiting to come in. I'm not doing a very good job explaining it, but there's this extra queue. So I'm curious, would that fit the bill for most of you? Or is it absolutely like not everyone has to be able to see the video? Or would it be a big help to just have the ability to see like, oh, there's 20 people waiting to join. I can see them in the chat. I'm not ready to bring them on yet, but I can, my co-host can let them know that we're going to bring them on soon and be able to cycle through them without them being, abruptly confronted with it's full, come back later screen.
Cool. I think you described that pretty well.
Okay. We'll see, I guess.
Well, that's it, right? And it is like the type of thing, for most people, they never have a full room, so it's not really a problem. But for the few people that have huge shows or maybe have a co-host and, like you said, are cycling people in and out for 4 hours, I think if anyone has done that type of show, they'll probably know exactly.
Yeah, so if you have, let us know, yeah. So it made sense to Tangerine. Thanks, Tangerine. I guess I'm glad it made sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd be curious, like in the acting industry, because obviously like green room kind of comes from that. I'm interested. What do they call like the or you're in the green room? Like,
it's like hair and make. There's like hair and makeup backstage. I don't know.
You're still in the hotel room.
Late. You're just late.
Yeah.
Flex Network loves the addition of the mobile platform. Glad to hear that.
Sweet.
Looks like we're just about out of time, but if you guys let us know, I am curious to hear your feedback on that, on the possibility of that. So do let us know. We'll check back on the comments. But this was episode number 78 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. It makes doing these a whole lot of fun, and we'll see you next week at the same time.
Sweet. See you, everyone.